Who are you? I want to know who Kevin Cape is.
Dan,
I want to know.
I grew up as an athlete on teams, pursuing goals together, failing.
My very first interaction with you ever is when you came to my bodybuilding class and you were laughing.
I had to do 21 and I started to laugh because there was no way I was going to get to 21.
And I said, that is not going to fly in here, sir. Stop laughing.
And I laughed harder.
And at the end of that, I learned who you were. And you learned if you can't be good with yourself, you won't be able to see a vision for yourself.
Imagine every 6 months you write a story about the life that you want that you don't have yet. And then 6 months later, you have that story as your life. And then you just do that every 6 months.
People think that like leadership is just something that's an innate fixed quality that can't be taught. You know, it's just something that you're born with.
So what is something that your everyday person could do to establish leadership in their day and in their life?
I think number one is just have the courage to Welcome to the Fortcast. I'm Kevin Cape, and this is Citizens of Fortitude.
Who are you?
Dan,
I want to know.
Loaded.
I want to know who
I'm
Kevin Cape is.
Still working that out.
Today, who is Kevin Cape?
So I guess, let's see. I'm a citizen of the fort.
Yeah.
Most important.
We've known you for what? 8 months?
Year and a half. Yeah, it was November
Time
2020, right?
Yeah,
Wow.
sounds right.
Yeah, early in my Olympic weightlifting days with Dan on Sundays.
And your bodybuilding days with me on the other Sundays.
On the other Sundays? That was one Sunday. I got in trouble that Sunday. That was a fun origin story for us.
Yeah, my very first interaction with you ever is when you came to my bodybuilding class and you were laughing.
Well, I was doing
during
curls.
your bicep curls.
I had to do 21.
Yep.
And I think I was on 8. And I started to laugh because there was no way I was going to get to 21. And you said,
And I said, that is not going to fly in here, sir.
stop laughing.
Stop laughing.
And I laughed harder.
This is serious business. And you went the other way.
You said, I mean it. And I went, so just like school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And at the end of that, I learned who you were. And you learned a lesson. He was so excited about you coming to the gym, your career, you and your personality. And you've been able to articulate the gym to us in a way that's really helped us understand our business.
That's cool to hear. I mean,
from day one.
For me, I guess let's go into like a really roundabout answer about who am I. I grew up as an athlete on teams, pursuing goals together, failing, getting back up, practicing hard. And after college, I played Division I college volleyball and Division I track and field, long and triple jump. And then after college, I just have not been able to stay in a gym.
How long was that period?
I was 22 all the way till 36.
Wow. Significant period of time there.
Yep. And I'd gotten in, I went to Equinox for a little bit. And I did another couple of gyms in LA, but it just never really stuck for me. And then coming here, the sense of community and team and working hard together and having everyone's back, it just, I know we're not supposed to make this a Ford commercial, but God, I love this place.
Do you remember when you were about to get on the phone with Dan, where the place that you were at and what was motivating you the most to seek out something?
That's a great question. I don't remember. I remember I went on Google Maps and I went, this is the WeWork I've been working from, and I'm just going to do like a perimeter search.
So
and
that started with proximity.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then I came in and I said, I want to be a little bigger on the shoulders and probably like a little less fat around the waist.
You've got one of the coolest jobs on the planet. You're an executive leadership coach.
Correct. Yep.
One, what brought you into that world? Like, I'm assuming something happened between 22 and 36.
Yep. Good
right.
guess.
Yeah. Where maybe your fitness wasn't on point, but you learned a thing or two about leadership.
Man, I mean, I could go pretty far back. I'll start with this. So I was top 50 recruit in volleyball going into college. Long Beach State is consistently a top 5 school in Long Beach, California. I got recruited to play there. No scholarship, though. My first year, I redshirted, which is where you get to practice, but you don't get to play in games, and you get another year of eligibility. And I didn't even get to play in practice. Like I was that low level compared to the rest of the team. And so a huge chunk of my identity just got lopped off. And near the end of the season, my coach recognized this and he recommended I go check out this student organization called the Student Athlete Advisory Council. It's like student government for student athletes specifically. So I went to the May meeting, which is the last meeting of the year. And it turned out it was elections. and people started to debate, and I can't resist a good debate. So I started throwing my opinions in the hat. And next thing you know, people were asking me to run for president of the organization. My first meeting.
Whoa.
I got elected.
Yeah.
Which is a bummer for like the seniors, the incoming seniors that had been in the organization for.
And you
like
were a freshman
years.
at this point?
Freshman, yeah.
Wow. Okay.
And so that's only relevant because then we get into the summer and we have to start planning the next year. And I went, I don't know what this organization does. Like, I don't know how to lead this organization because I've never seen it operate before. So I just went, okay, what's the point of this organization? And we started at the mission, and we retooled it a little bit so that the executive team felt good about it. And then we just worked from the purpose out. I'm such an extrovert, and I had to learn a lot of lessons. And this is a part of my leadership journey. I had to learn a lot of lessons about the fact that I only liked me if I was being validated from the outside in. And so that kind of triggered me to realize you need to love you for you. Like, you've got to be okay alone and not call that lonely. And ultimately, you got to like yourself without someone affirming you all the time. So that actually was a big part of my leadership journey.
And that's a huge part of anybody's leadership journey.
Yeah.
Right. That's kind of like step one. If you can't be good with yourself, you won't be able to see a vision for yourself, and you won't be able to bring anybody else along with you on the way.
Well, and if you're always evaluating your performance from an external scoreboard, outside in, what other people think of you versus inside out, you're never true to yourself. You're never actually going to be happy, and no one's going to follow you because you're not actually leading. Right. You have to be creating your own thing.
You're still following, right?
Yeah, exactly.
If it's an external scoreboard.
Yeah, exactly.
In some way.
Exactly. And so I did that. I ran after school programs. I got promoted into a job I had no business doing, overseeing 6 after school sites. I'd never worked in after school. That was kind of a theme of my career. I'd end up in roles that I just had no business doing. And then I did some marketing. I built the website for the camp. So just developing skills. From there, I was giving a toast. It was a best man's toast at a wedding, even though I wasn't the best man, which has happened to me twice. So this is part of the who is Kevin Cape answer. And I was talking to someone who worked at a private jet company, and I told him I wanted to get out of nonprofit. I wanted to run with the big dogs in the for-profit world. And she recommended I come interview for a job as a flight dispatcher. And I have no aviation background, no military background, no operational background. I just worked with kids. But I went to the interview. They were small enough, a little bit of serendipity involved, and a lot of luck. And I got the job.
There's probably no word that follows like natural born more than leader, right? People think that like leadership is just something that's an innate fixed quality that can't be taught, that can't be, it's just something that you're born with. You're either General MacArthur or you're not. You're one of his soldiers. So I think Kyle's right. I think this is like a huge mind shift in people, or a huge idea shift that's like, even if I'm not a natural born leader, or I didn't serve in the military or whatever, like I can gain these skills. And it's a new thing, and I think it's an exciting thing that you're bringing this to people.
Well, it's been an interesting tension for me, because people tend to naturally want to follow me because I am fairly charismatic. But I came to realize that was all bullshit, right? Those reasons that people wanted to follow me were a function of it feels good in the moment, but without some really clear skills, execution, discipline, we weren't going to win together. We had a great time. They liked me. I could boost my ego. It made them feel safe in the near term. But I really had to kind of work out, wow, there are a lot of traits, skills, activities, behaviors, disciplines I don't have that are holding me back, holding my team back, holding these individual humans back in their development. I need to develop these things. Honestly, my process was this. I'd get really curious. I'd read a book, and then whatever I found in the book, I'd actually apply in the business. And,
that's huge.
With skin in the game, right? Like this could go sideways. This could totally fail. But because I was running these basically experimental projects, now granted, they were designed to succeed, but I was able to iterate, make changes, go through the cycle enough times that you start to figure out, okay, what actually works. Plus you read enough of these business and psychology books and you realize there's a few key concepts that are just repeated over and over and over again.
Yeah.
But to fast forward to my life as an executive coach, I actually had a friend who was working as a financial planner, and I had kind of gotten a reputation. You guys know me. if anyone gives me the tiniest like sniff of an opening that we can talk about like your dreams or your mission, I'm taking it. I'm charging through that. I'm kicking that thing down and I'm charging through that door. And so I got a bit of a reputation as like the personal mission statement guy. And I had a financial planner friend who had a really hard time asking for referrals at the end of his meetings. He just felt like he didn't deserve to be asking for them, or he was being selfish or salesy or smarmy. And he thought, well, if I could speak to my personal mission statement, maybe I could. I'm coming from more of a powerful impact service orientation. It'll be easier for me to ask for those referrals. And so he proposed to me that I coach him on his personal mission, speaking to his personal mission. I was like, you want me to do exactly like, what does that look like? What do you mean? He's like, I'll meet with you once a week, 4th week of every month off, and you'll teach me how to be good at this. I was like, you're going to pay me? And he's like, yeah, okay, whatever you say, man. And so it went well. And so he referred me to someone who referred me to someone. And so I ended up with this small book of clients on the side, and then ended up meeting an executive coach that did it full time. And I said, I'm going to hire you. I didn't have the money to hire him. His fee was exorbitant. It was preposterous. But I went, I'm going to hire you in 30 days. And I don't know how I'm going to get the money, but 30 days from now, I'll have it. And give me the contract. And I signed it. And sure enough, 30 days later, some of it I kind of eked out and some of it just came to me unexpectedly. And as those things tend to happen, I think, right? When you go all in.
Yeah. And you set a date.
Set a date. And I worked with him for 3 months and he taught me how to sell coaching programs. And first day we sat down, he's like, your coaching programs are great. We're not going to work on that at all. And I was like, I've been bamboozled. But he's like, I just need to teach you how to sell them.
Yeah.
And that was massively uncomfortable.
I feel like it's a really good time just in the economy and in our period of time for leadership, because I don't think it's always been the case where leadership was taught or leadership was an action. For a really long time, I think leadership was a quality or a trait. Right. But now there's seemingly an industry. There's clearly an industry. To teach people leadership. And I think that's a new concept, unless, for a lot of like people like us, we work with you, business owners, but like for everyday people, I think that's a new concept and maybe not like, thought of around the dinner table in the same way that it would be for like a business owner.
Well, historically we have these very hierarchical, militaristic organizations.
Yeah.
You just do what the person above you tells you to do.
I mean, leadership is such an ideology for most people. For you, when you're working with people, like, let's make it a little like tangible. Like, what outcomes are you looking for people? Like, okay, I'm coming to Kevin. I'm going to learn about leadership. Sure, maybe I'll be a better leader and do a little bit better when I stand up in meetings or have a more of a mission or a vision for my business. But what are you looking to accomplish for people who come to you and want you to help them be better leaders in their business or their lives or their homes or wherever they're coming to you?
Yeah, absolutely. So one of my favorite stories, I had a client who was running a conference, like a kickoff conference for their business. There was a multi-level marketing company, right? So it's similar to the Cutco knives we were talking about earlier, but it's for CBD products. And so they wanted to run this kickoff seminar for all of their founding leaders. And so we did the visioning process that we use at Mirror and Cape Coaching, which is we tell a story in narrative format about a point in the future that describes in detail what we'd like to achieve and why it matters. So basically we had this sheet that said, it was like August 6th. We're all sitting in the living room of the Airbnb. We're debriefing the weekend that we just had with our founding leaders, and we're amazed at how successful it went. And then it goes on to tell line by line, this leader said this, and this person had this experience. And so I did this with this client, and the head of sales who was responsible for the visioning of that specific event went to read the story so that we could evaluate, okay, did we achieve it? So this is after the conference is over. We actually sit down in that setting that we described. She handed it to me and started crying. It wasn't that, some lives had been changed. A really exciting, special thing was happening. But when people realize they have the capacity to create the future really specifically, it's overwhelming, right? Because we're just along for the ride, I think. And so when you put these very specific intentions down on paper and then you go to read them publicly and you realize, oh my God, we did this. It messes with people.
Sure.
And so the most simple, tangible description I could give is, I'm going to help you write a story 6 months in the future of what you want your life to look like. Success in your business, the way you spent your time during the course of your week, which is important. I'll come back to that in a second. And then we're just going to go create it. And there are other pieces like, we work on what are your vision, mission, and values so that you know why that stuff is important. We work on who's responsible for what pieces so that we know who has ownership of what and who needs to not worry about other things. On getting there, we figure out what our cadence of accountability is. So when are we meeting? What are we talking about? How often? What do we do if we fall behind? And then we put like a learning structure in place as well. But the main thing is, imagine every 6 months you write a story about the life that you want that you don't have yet. And then 6 months later, you have that story as your life. And then you just do that every 6 months. I mean, it's a wonderful way to live.
So what is something that your everyday person could do to establish leadership in their day and in their life?
I think number one is just have the courage to write down results that you want as specifically as possible. Just so if I have a client that says, well, we want 12 million in revenue this year, when they write the story, I make them write $12,422 because it just feels more real. Mm-hmm. So everything you can do to make that target feel more real.
Yeah.
And then don't lose it. Don't put it in a notebook somewhere. There's a lot of theories on, do you tell people your goals? Do you not tell people your goals? I think it depends on how you tell people your goals. But if you have someone who's going to help keep you accountable, even if it's just your partner or a close friend of yours, your spouse, your kid, depending on obviously on their age, your 4-year-old will probably forget as well. But there's something to be said about feeling accountable to your kid. The hard part is sticking with that and not forgetting that you said it, because it's much more comfortable to just forget and walk away. But be really clear about the thing that you want in the future. And then I think the second half of that, 1B, my Instagram handle is Listen for the Mustn'ts. It's based on a Shel Silverstein poem, which is actually Listen to the Mustn'ts, but it's a play intentionally that you got to like, there's all these like mustn'ts. Oh, you mustn't do that. No, that's folly. That's not wise. But I think most of what really lights us up, like really fills our cup, is pretty simple and often modest and unique to us. And other people might think it's weird or unimportant and it doesn't achieve status of any kind. But those things that are just feel resonant and true and genuine inside of you, the things that you mustn't pursue, that's not, those are the things that are actually going to fulfill us. Going back to the psychology, we really have a terrible time predicting what's going to make us happy. I'm telling you, those weird things that you're like, no, that's a weird thing to want. That's not a weird thing to want. The weirder it is to want, the better. So not just write down those goals, but, or those results, really listen to your inner scoreboard. And it's cheesy as it is, like, listen to your heart.
Right.
But it's real, if it's outside in and if it's about how someone else will perceive you or perceive that accomplishment, it's not going to fill you up. But if it's just a thing that's important to you, feels resonant for you, then it has a much higher chance of fulfilling you.